Welcome to the Business Shop Podcast, where our guests speak on meeting the challenges of entrepreneurship, as well as offer tips and advice on business, marketing, technology, and more. Whether you are a newbie or a seasoned professional, this episode is for you. I am your host, Audrey Wiggins. Let's chop it up. Hello, Chop Squad. It's great to be with you again. I'm excited for our guest today, Diane Helbig. And she is an internationally recognized business and leadership development advisor. She's an author, an award-winning speaker, and workshop facilitator. As a certified professional coach and president of Helbig Enterprises, Diane helps businesses and organizations operate more constructively and profitably. That's what we want, right? That C and that P there. She evaluates, encourages, and guides her clients. Diane's clients find themselves achieving incredible successes, many beyond what they had previously believed were even possible. Now we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and learn more about Diane. July 27th is National Love is Kind Day. Show some love through your business. Nurture it, grow it, and watch it flourish. Register now for Elevating the You in Entrepreneur Summit. Learn more at bit.ly/elevate the letter U July 2024. bit.ly/elevate the letter U July 2024. We're back with Diane. She brings over 20 years of small business management and sales to her coaching. Diane believes that each business professional is an individual. They bring their dreams, their challenges, and their beliefs with them to the role. This is why the strategies they create, Diane and her clients, are specific to them. Business is business and leadership is leadership, says Diane. How each person approaches their growth is individual. There are no canned systems here. Diane's work is uniquely developed for each person. And she's about her book, Succeed Without Selling. Diane offers a straightforward, common sense, and clear guide to the sales process. Diane, welcome to the Business Shop.
Thank you so much.
All right, Diane Helbig, I'm looking behind you on your wall on some hooks, and I see a bunch of name badges. Are these networking events have you gone to?
Some of them are. These are the NABO events that I've gone to.
Okay.
These are a mix. Most of these are events I have spoken at. Mm-hmm. And then mixed in there, like podcast movement, I've gone to a couple times. So in there's a couple other things that I have just attended, but mostly these are ones where I was a speaker.
That's awesome. There's the evidence, folks, that she walks the talk. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I was looking at your wall like, okay, I have to ask her about that. So if you're listening to the podcast and not watching the video, she's got some cute hooks on the wall, and there's her different straps and, different lanyards, I just say, excuse me, and the badges. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Yeah.
I think they're fun for me to remember, right? This is sort of like a souvenir that I take with me whenever I go to something.
Yeah, and you might think back of, some, fun thing that happened while you were there, or something significant. To bring a smile to your face. Yep.
Exactly right.
There's a couple of fun things about you, so I want you to share that with the Chop Squad. I'm excited about this.
I have a goal of living to be 104 because my Aunt Elizabeth lived to be 104.
You stole my thunder. I was going to ask you, what was behind that goal.
That's it. If she can do it, I can do it. That's what I'm thinking.
Exactly. Well, that would be fun. I think I want to go to 120. There's a time capsule. Yeah, down at Cleveland State we're from the same area, Chop Squad. And there's a time capsule when we built the new wing for our engineering college, and there's stuff in there, and and I'm like, okay, I want to be there when they open that up.
That's terrific.
Yeah, no, that would be fun. So
no kidding.
Yes, we're gonna beat and meet her age of 104. That would be fun because she obviously saw a lot of change during her lifetime. And
Yeah,
yeah, that would be the same for you, and to be able to articulate that to the folks, some young folks during that time.
exactly. Right.
So anything else you want to share before we get going?
I just got back from DC. So
Okay.
I got to hear this woman, Virginia Littlejohn. She was one of the significant people who got HR 5050 passed in the government, which is the bill that allows women, business owners, to be able to get a loan without a man's signature.
Wow.
And that was back in the 80s when this happened.
And you know what? That wasn't that long ago.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
when you look back, that's like, really? That's when that happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would have been, further back.
Yeah.
Having that small business loan or grant just catapult us to get us started. And that's important because, women and business owners, we have a lot to bring to the table, and we need to be able to jumpstart on an equal playing field, so to speak.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it was very inspiring to hear her.
All right. So you are a networker. You teach about networking, sales, you have sales skills and leadership. And there was one question there in your list of pre-questions. It's like, how can someone even succeed if they don't sell? And sometimes people don't realize that they're sellers.
They're selling. So people are better at selling. This is going to sound a little weird, but people are better at selling when they don't sell. Where I am challenged, and I challenge others around selling, is this whole concept that we have grown up with, that we are supposed to be closing all the time, and we're supposed to be convincing and persuading. And if we're just slick and eloquent enough, we can convince somebody that they absolutely need what we have to sell. And that's really not the case. It's not what consumers want. It's not what businesses want. It just, and people don't like doing it. So, right? I don't like having it done to me. I don't like doing it. And yet people keep behaving this way. So for me, it's just forget about selling.
Okay.
Get into discovery.
And so what does that look like?
So it looks like no matter where you are, no matter what you are doing, instead of thinking about, is there someone here who could be a good client? It's just being open to, gee, I wonder who's here. I wonder what they're about. I wonder, it's being genuinely curious so that I can figure out, do they fit in my world? Do they not fit in my world? Could they be a resource? Could they be a business friend? Could they be a referral source? Maybe potentially a client, but I don't know until I learn a lot. So if we approach with just, you know what? I'm just going to go on a discovery mission. I'm just curious about who's in the room, or I'm just curious about what's going on. It's more natural. It's more comfortable. It's easier. It's not all of that nervousness that we get because we feel like we have to be on all the time.
Right. As you're asking those discovery questions, then that opens up so the other person can ask us a question.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fire hose.
Yeah.
What does that look like? So you were at a networking event and you're meeting people, years ago, we always talked about and I'm sure some circles still do, the elevator pitch or the 30-second pitch as, tell us how we, are wrong with that or what we need the change there.
Yeah. So I think it is so wrong because it assumes selling, right? Pitch, commercial, the whole thing is around convincing. So what I say is, first of all, people are more interested in the value that you bring and who you bring it to than they are about what you do and even how you do it. They'll want to know that later. But and if you think about it, what you are curious about is, who is this person that I'm talking to, and what makes them tick, and why do they do what they do, kind of thing. So what I tell people is, let go of this whole pitch idea. It doesn't have to be this big fancy, with a bunch of letters after your name and the years that you've been there and how long the firm's there. No one cares.
Oh my goodness.
Forget it. And if someone asks you, what do you do? Which I frankly think is a terrible question, but instead of telling them, say, I would love to share with you what I do, but first I'd really like to learn about you. Tell me about you.
Okay.
Because we're doing discovery, right?
Right.
I want to know about you. I want to know what your story is, whatever you want to tell me. I want to know, because that's going to give me real insight into what's top of mind, what matters. If you talk about your children, then that's what's really at the top of your plate. It gives us an on-ramp to start building a relationship or not.
Right. And then you can just part it as friends or, positive associates. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then the other piece to that I think is probably valuable is if there is no synergy, with us, there may be someone in our networks that we can match up with.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. But you don't know if you go in assuming how they're going to fit.
Yeah.
Right. You miss all of that.
Or how many business cards you can collect or digital cards that you can scan before the night's over. I've been there. I've been there.
It's the worst. Like, you bring them home, you have no idea who those people are. You probably didn't even talk to them for more than 2 seconds for them to put their card in your hand. I don't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're coming up with one good lead or one good, beginning of a relationship, I think we succeeded.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
And that leads me to a question about target marketing, the importance of that.
Yeah, I think it's critical. I think people, whenever I hear someone say, well, everyone is a good lead for me, I just, no, they're not, because everyone isn't a target market. And if you're going for everyone, you're going to end up with no one, because no one can land on, right? We bring value to a certain audience, to a certain demographic, whatever it is. And what we're looking for is the right business. So when we know what our target market is, it gives us language to use. It gives us something to focus on. And this is really when we're doing outbound. If someone reaches out to you, you're going to entertain the conversation. Yeah. But knowing your target market also helps you stay away from the people or the companies that you really don't want to be doing business with, that are not a good fit.
Or how can we define our market? Because sometimes there's like maybe the market may be here, but there may be a sub-market or subset is really the target that we should be going after.
Right. Right. I think we have to ask ourselves this question and keep asking it, where we say, okay, what is the end result? What does my product or service do for my client? If you already have clients, then what I suggest is take a really good look at your top 20% and your bottom 20% and develop a list of characteristics. What is it about that top 20% that makes them the top? It's going to be a number of things. They value what you do. You have good conversations with them. They're communicative, they're timely, whatever you're selling them, you're making a reasonable profit on, maybe there's a lot of opportunity, whatever. There's a bunch of characteristics at the top. Then there's the bottom 20%, and there's a lot of characteristics about them, why they're awful. And when you can identify those things, what's at the top, that's your ideal client, that's your target. You'll learn things about who you're really serving, I guess. It's easy to fall into this thing of, well, I can serve anybody. Well, okay, but who do you really serve well? That's what we're going for.
And then once we get there, I know in some of your skill set that you're bringing, you have your leadership and customer service. How do we build those relationships with those clients so we can sustain them and then go after more?
Right. Because there's usually more business to be had. And we don't want our competition having conversations with them if we're not, right? Because then when they have a need, that's who they're going to go to. So we always want to be nurturing these relationships, going as deep as we can in an organization or whatever it is, and continuing to build that relationship. And because they're going to change, we're going to change, the world is going to change, change happens. And we want to be there when they go through those changes. So maybe we can refer someone to them to help them solve a problem. Maybe it's something we can do for them. Who knows? But the better we are really caring about them and building that relationship, the longer we're going to have them as clients.
So with this high speed era that we're accelerated paces that we're living in now with technology. So how do we use social media or email marketing, or those things that we can use or tools to keep in touch or be top of mind?
Sure, absolutely. I am a huge fan of email marketing for that very reason that you just said, stay top of mind. Email marketing isn't selling, it's awareness, right? And credibility and giving of knowledge and information for people so that when they have a need, you're top of mind because you've been in front of them and you've been giving to them. Social media is also a place that you can do that. Engage in conversations with people. Follow them, see what's going on with them, refer them to like an article or a book that you've read or something that you think will be of value to them, and continue to be a thought leader in your industry, because the more information you give away, the higher your trust meter is going to be.
Wow. I like that. Leading with value.
Right. That's who people trust.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we do business with people we trust. So
we aren't always, trying to like sell this person the next big thing or whatever that we have in our product pack.
Right. They don't care. And they're not listening. This is the other thing I say is, you're talking, they're not listening. So it's sort of a waste of time, right? Because they only care about what they care about. And our job is to find out what they care about and then talk about that.
Right. Exactly. So when you talk about something that you call the ABCs of sales have changed, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So back in the day, in the 70s, 80s, the ABCs of sales were always be closing. And, just yuck, right? Just a huge problem with this, because that implies that everywhere you are and everything that you're doing, you're looking for a sale, and no one likes salespeople. So, for me, it's why do we keep doing these things that don't work?
Right.
In my estimation, the ABCs of sales are always be curious.
Okay.
Because when you're curious, you can't be in sales mode.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps you out of being that person no one wants to be around.
Yeah, because that goes back to our networking with discovery.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Diane, one other question I have here involves around the B2C. So people, owners or people who are selling to consumers. What's your best advice for that group?
So it's sort of two-part. The first part is your friends and family are not a target market. So please stop trying to get them.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I was a huge network marketer seller. So I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I get it that it's hard to prospect when you're prospecting to consumers. So what I say to people who sell B2C is have workshops, have, little information events where the only goal is to educate people on something. You can bring someone else in to be a speaker if you don't want to be a speaker. Whatever it is, nice and short. You can ask your clients to come and bring a friend if you want, but no selling involved. You're really just trying to create the connection and the awareness and see who would be interested, if anybody, in having a further conversation.
Yep, that makes sense. And then, right, so then they can ask the questions, and then you can go deeper. Just follow the lead of the prospect, so to speak.
Yeah.
Knock out your competition with Altogether Marketing. We elevate your brand. Take a stance with your business name, logo, the tagline, your colors, even the fonts for your business. And then jab left with your website, jab right with core values. Back up with product experience and bring it on with you. Visit altogether.biz and let us help you create a knockout brand.
You're talking about networking, asking questions and discovery. You're talking about, being around folks. What types of events? Pre-COVID, we were probably all over the place going to different types of events or organizations. So can you give us some advice about maybe things to join or just to attend
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, thanks. I think that's so important. I have found that attending so there's two different kinds of networking, really. There's organizations where, you network to build relationships, and there's leads groups. So I'm going to talk about them separately.
Yeah.
If you have a local chamber of commerce that is vibrant, and there's no downside to going and visiting these things to see how they resonate with you, don't be afraid to not join if your feeling is, wow, this just doesn't resonate with me at all. It doesn't matter if your best friend loves it, right? If you don't, because it's never going to work. But there's in a lot of cities, there's really great business organizations. There's trade organizations. So if you're in a certain industry, there can be organizations around that industry where you are. I know for me, I'm a member of the National Association of Women Business Owners, has a local chapter here because I really enjoy being around women who own businesses where, we have the same sorts of issues and can commiserate. But there are a lot of opportunities, and different cities have different things. They'll have business roundtables, organizations around entrepreneurship. Really evaluate not only what's going on in your area, but what's going on online. There are some organizations online that could potentially be worth joining. Just do yourself the favor of really checking it out. Who's there? How does it feel? Is it, and you have to commit to it for at least a year.
Okay.
Because it takes time to build those relationships. So you have to go to the stuff, right? Like you can't join, pull the membership list and never go to anything.
No. Yeah. And people they'll get that right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's leads groups or referral groups like BNI. There's a variety of them. The great thing about those is that the focus really is on getting and giving referrals.
Okay.
So that's why you're there. So that can be easier for people. You're not going to do it at the chamber, but you are going to say, this is what a good referral looks like for me at when you're in that room.
Yeah.
Just make sure that it really resonates with you, because there's good groups and bad groups. There's groups that are heavy B2C and other groups that are heavy B2B. And you just want to make sure. What I say is you want to make sure in that situation that you're going to be able to give, because the only way you're going to get is if you're a giver first.
Yeah.
So if you're in a room full of people and you're not taking the time to really get to know them, to see, if you can refer people to them, don't spend the money, because it's not going to work.
Yeah, that makes sense. So tell us more about your podcast.
Yeah. So my podcast is, and thank you so much for allowing me to do that. It's Accelerate Your Business Growth. I've been doing it since, I think just about as long as you've been doing yours, since like 2009.
Okay.
And I interview people who have expertise in different areas of business, and, they share that expertise with the listeners. So small business owners and salespeople can find the answers that they need, right? Can find the ideas and the connections to the resources that they need so they can be successful.
Awesome. And where can we find your podcast?
It's on all of the podcasting platforms. The easiest way is like my website, helbigenterprises.com/podcast, because they're all there. But if people listen on Apple or Spotify or whatever, they can find it there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so ChIC Squad, be sure to follow Diane on her podcast, and go to her website, and on your website too. You've got you got some downloads there or something for it, so we can check out.
Yeah, so anybody can download a free chapter. It might even be a couple chapters of Succeed Without Selling.
Okay.
But there are also documents on there that they can download that are actually used throughout the book, because the book's really actionable for people. So, people could download those and use them without the book if they wanted to. So they're totally available.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, so definitely ChIC Squad, plug into what Diane has to offer there at her website. Her ebook is there, and start to follow and download episodes for a podcast. So I think that looks like that would be a real good help accelerate your business growth there. So let's get in touch with her there. So Diane, what advice or nuggets do you want to leave us with?
I think the first thing I would say is, and I said this before, but I'm going to say it again, is let go of this whole idea of selling and just focus on getting to know people and giving them the opportunity to get to know you. That eagerness, that over eagerness of I have to make a sale and I've got to hit quota or I've got to do this or whatever, does not attract people to you. So, my goal is that people stop doing the things that don't work and just start trying the things that actually do work. So, one change at a time, it's not wholesale change. And get out there and get really curious about people and see if it changes how you're connecting. I submit that people will want to learn more about what you do, will want to engage you in conversations around how you can help them when they genuinely feel like you're not trying to sell them something.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah. Thanks, Diane. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Audrey.
Thank you for listening to The Business Chops. We hope that you were able to glean valuable information from our guests and that you will download and share this podcast. Your rating and review is much appreciated. To go deeper with our guests, please visit their website and social channels. To learn more about us, please visit businesschop.info or altogether.biz, where we will help you expand your brand.